I'm asking him to stop sex trafficking and African crime on African assassination, sin in the congregation, elders saying all to bring separation. Lord, you see everything that we facing Satan and all of his demons from confrontation. He want us to get impatient, want us to be a victim and fall in incarceration. I made a pledge to my nation, said this is about our salvation. See my numbers increasing, they say I'm Illuminati, they say I'm a Freemason. Don't see me out with my brothers, they say that I made a sacrifice.
I need your help. I need your help immediately. He's got a problem, he's got an addiction, and I cannot get him away from it. Listen, if you want to know how to help us out, I need you to watch this episode. This is an addiction of epic proportion. I don't know if anybody can possibly fix this. You want to know if we can? I need you to watch this episode of Eminem 2.0. Welcome to the Matrix. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? This is Eminem 2.0. Welcome to the Matrix. Listen, if you like what you see already, like this video. If you like what you hear, go on ahead and comment on this video. And please give somebody the gift of Eminem 2.0 and share this video. You like the merch that we got on? Merch link will be in the description right after you see this video. Pastor Mike, how are we doing today?
We're doing well. I'm excited.
I know you're excited. I mean, I'm ready, really ready to dive on into this.
Yes.
This is a continuation, an idea, the continuation of the prayer code that we did last time, but this is something completely and utterly different.
Yes.
They saw it in the preview for
Right.
this at the beginning of this, a little trailer before this,
Yeah.
and we're here to do an intervention
Yeah.
because you've absolutely lost it now.
And it's possible I have.
You,
Yeah. It's very
you know, they've thought so before, but
Yeah.
no, now I know for myself, you've
Yeah.
absolutely just lost it. You've become
Yeah.
addicted.
Yeah.
The first step
Yeah.
to fixing this problem is admitting you have a problem.
And I do. I have a major problem, and I've just found out I cannot do without it. I wake up, I've got to have it. In fact, I've been waking up, and I find out that I have to go get a fix whenever it happens.
Oh, Pastor Mike, that sounds like a real problem. You know, most addicts,
Yeah.
when it gets to that point,
Yeah.
it's usually the place that they invite somebody else in
Yeah.
so that they can have this intervention. It's usually at this point that they suddenly realize, okay, I need help.
Yes.
But do you need help, Pastor Mike?
I don't know, and I don't really think I do, but that may be the issue.
Oh, wow.
But I figure after we discuss this for a while, we'll both know whether I need help or not.
Okay, I gotta kill all the suspense and all the
Okay.
drama and everything. Pastor Mike, what are you addicted to?
I have become addicted to the presence of God and addicted to what I call kingdom intercession. God, Paul tells us in his letters that we need to be praying for leaders, we need to be praying for kings, we need to be praying for each other,
Right.
and he also says we need to be praying for ourselves so that we don't get shipwrecked in the midst of this journey that we're having. So what I'm finding out about kingdom intercession, it's just different from when we're just going to God. And you know what? God appreciates the times that we set our own times, and we set these times to go spend time with him. So I'm not trying to negate that. I'm not trying to, bam that and say it's no good.
Okay.
But what I'm telling you, this intercession, when the Spirit of God begins to move you and the Spirit of God begins to wake you, it's different. What you're praying about, where you're going, it's like being on a journey and a different adventure every single day.
Well, okay, well, I gotta ask because most people are probably sitting there looking like, really, that's the addiction? No, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
a lot of believers watch this show, and so I think we all very much love the presence of God. But you said you're addicted. You said you need to get a fix. I mean, most of us, if we're not in a deep worship, if we don't have the right music going, we don't have the right call and response thing happening. We got a method. We got to lather up and do all of this other stuff. How exactly are you able to get a fix in the presence of God just by yourself? And then, two, let's follow that up. How do I know when the Spirit is waking me up versus I just got to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, well, when you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go. And you pretty much know. And, like I told you before, I had been in this whole thing, and we are don't really want to do it because our flesh really wants to get as much sleep. We like to stay up late.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to necessarily do what's necessary to have ourselves awakened by the Spirit of God.
Okay.
But one of the things you'll notice is when you rise, when you get that unction,
Okay.
there is something about how the kingdom greets you. It's something about the presence of God that's different. And so you really began to see it. Maybe not the first time, but it's like as you do it, it's like, I can't wait for the next time. And if it were just you waking up, it would constantly be the same time. And what I find out is it's not always the same time.
Okay.
The earliest I've been awakened is 1 o'clock. There's 1:30. There's 2:10. There's 3 o'clock. When I was working, I stayed up late, and he gave me a break. It was 4:30. So what I know is that it is not like a biological timer that goes off in you because, you got to go to work, and there are times you get so used to the regimen of when you have to get up, your body sets a clock in you.
Ah.
Well, this is not just a normal setting. You're getting up because this clock is like fixed on 3 o'clock. Because if that was the case, I'd always be waking up at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, right.
So I'm not just waking up at 3. I'm finding I'm waking up at 1. Like I said, anywhere between 1 and 3, those hours, I would like to say, when Jesus said he woke up a great time before morning.
Okay, because that was my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Where exactly biblically are you really drawing this conclusion from? Two, I really like what you said with, we like to get as much sleep as we can,
Yeah.
but we also like to stay up late.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to this other brother, and he was talking about his commitment to the church, and I said, amazingly enough, we do exactly what we want to do. We make preparations for the things that we want to do, those things that we desire, those things that we're addicted to, that we want to do.
Yeah.
So how should this be any different? But really, that first part.
Yeah, but I'll tell you how this really got started. I was saying to the Lord, I said, Lord, I want this fire for pursuing your presence.
Okay.
I want this fire for this passion for you that, God, I'm literally in this song, I'm chasing after you. Because, it's like we sing stuff and we mimic stuff, but I don't know that we really ever know what those things mean. But going to him, and I literally said this, God, I said, I really don't know what it all will entail. I don't know what it all will mean that I want to be chasing after you. I want to be pursuing your presence. I want to be like David when he says, I'm this deer that's panting for the water. It means I've developed this appetite that I'm hungering and thirsting for your presence. And here's what he said to me. He said, how do you show your wife that you love her?
Again, prayer, relating it to marriage.
Yeah.
Again.
How do you show you love her? And I started going over the things. I started going over those surprise gifts. I started thinking about the smile that I give her. I started thinking about some of the things that I did. And I said to myself, how do I now make this where I'm pursuing God and I'm saying to him, God, I'm smiling for you. I'm bringing you this surprise.
So really, I just really thought about this as you said it. The covenant is really the most important thing. I think people get too caught up in the word relationship sometimes, and that can start to carry connotations. Oh, my relationship with Jesus is good. That's my homeboy right there. We good.
Yeah.
We cool. And I think we're not, one, concerned about covenant that we have with God. Two, that relationship is based off that covenant.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing like a marital relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship you have with your husband and your wife is based off that covenant that you've made. So I like the simile between the two because, like you talked about, setting that specific time, your body gets used to that time. Yes, it is good to set a time with your spouse so that you have regular time together.
Right.
But it's also amazing and really helpful and beneficial to your relationship when you have those surprise visits, those
yes.
surprise gifts,
Yeah.
those things that they're not expecting. And granted, God is omniscient,
Right.
so you can't really surprise
Right,
God.
and it's not about the surprise.
Right.
It's about the willingness to say, God, I'm available 365, 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And I found that out on the weekend that it's included. So when I'm thinking, well, maybe God's going to take off on the weekend, it's not happening. Because once you make that commitment and you say to God, you really are making a new vow. You're making a new pledge to him. And you're saying, God, you know what? I know we've been married for a while, and I really haven't been showing to you what I should have shown to
You
you.
need to renew those vows.
I had to renew those vows and say to God, all right, I'm all in. I'm going to focus on you. I'm going to focus my attention on you. And if you want to spend some time together early in the morning, whenever it is, God, I'm going to have to beat this flesh down and show up when you call.
This really reminds me, and I get a better understanding now of Romans 12, verse 1.
Yes.
You know, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God,
Yes.
that you present yourselves a living sacrifice.
Yes.
You know, the dead sacrifices, they can only be offered up once. They serve their purpose one time. But a living sacrifice
Yes.
is a sacrifice that's always ready. It's always available.
And over.
Over and over again, you can offer yourself up to God.
Yes.
And so I just really like this idea of the relationship, just you being this consistent vessel that God can use all of the time. That's an awesome way to restore your vows.
Yeah. But think about it.
Okay.
What you just says. He says, I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God. When you see that translation, he's literally saying, because of what God has done for you,
Okay.
because of the mercy he has bestowed on you, if there's no other reason you have a relationship with God, it should be you thinking to yourself, if this had not been for the mercy of God, where would I be? So the result is, I'm willing to give an all-out sacrifice of my time, of my talent, of my treasure to God, because I believe what he's given me, just if I think just of his mercy, is worth every sacrifice.
Yeah, before we started the show, you started discussing what exactly you wanted to convey to the audience, what you wanted to give to the people on today. And you know, you didn't have a scripture, but the description of what you gave me, this visceral relationship with God that I don't think many Christians or believers actually even get to have during their life. It became clear to me in just one particular scripture, and we have a few minutes left. I want to dive into it, and then we'll get into it into the other episodes. But I immediately thought of Moses, and one of my favorite scriptures, one of the relationships I would say I have a godly envy of most is Moses.
Yeah.
And so, looking at Exodus chapter 33, I'm looking at it in the New Living Translation, starting at verse 12. One day Moses said to the Lord, "You have been telling me, take these people up to the promised land. But you haven't told me whom you will send with me. You haven't told me who you're going to send with me. You have told me, I know you by your name." I love that. "And I look favorably on you." So Moses is saying, look, God, you're telling me that I know you by your name. You're telling me that you look favorable on me. If this is true, that you're looking favorable on me, God, let me know your ways. So, this is great, so that I may understand. Who asked to understand God? We got a couple minutes left. You got to give me that.
Doesn't that sound like one of those whatsoever moments that you ask? I don't believe he's praying alone. I think he's praying by inspiration at the same time. And God's saying,
He's in the
"Ask
presence and he's praying
me,
this."
ask me something that people would consider hard. Ask me something that would seem impossible. It says that we don't know the mind of God, but the Spirit knows the mind of God.
Wow.
So if the Spirit knows the mind of God and we're filled with the Spirit of God, guess what we can begin to know? We can begin to know the mind of God. But everybody's going, his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are further than our ways. And the only people it's so distant from are the people who never go close to God.
Jesus. The people that never go up on the mountain. They don't want to talk to God.
They don't turn aside to see.
They don't turn aside. You know what's amazing? And I thought about this, and I'm one of these radical Joshua guys. People ask all the time, well, there's really no difference between you guys and every other religion out there. There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, the Muslims don't talk about knowing the mind of Allah.
Right.
You know, Buddhists don't talk about knowing the mind of Buddha.
Right.
They talk about the teachings and the principles, and they say some of these things are similar to Jesus. But nobody asks about this relationship portion where they get to know the mind.
Yeah.
There's this father-son, this integral relationship that happens, this intimacy that happens that God wants us to have with Him.
Yes.
And it's that relationship that comes from the covenant that causes us to change. It causes us to act right. Moses says, I want to understand you.
Yeah. Yeah, and in His presence, it creates a hunger. It creates a burning. It creates a desire.
It creates an addiction.
We ain't gonna get started because we need to start for next episode.
Okay, let's start for next episode. Listen. We want you to come back. We want you to watch the next episode that we have of this, not code, but this paradigm shift that we want you to have for your prayer. Listen, it's an addiction. The first thing you need to do is admit that you want it. Because Moses admitted it. He said, God, I want more of you.
Yeah.
I want to have more of you. God, I want to be addicted to you.
Yeah.
So listen, if you want this addiction, if this is what you really want, go on ahead and come back to this next episode. Eminem 2.0. We'll see you then.
I'm asking him to stop sex trafficking and African crime on African assassination.
This is an M&M 2.0 circuit break.
You see everything that we face Satan and all of his demons with confrontation. He want us to get impatient, want us to be a victim and fall in incarceration. I made a pledge to my nation, said this is about our salvation. See my numbers increasing, they say I'm a loser.